Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
And I'm your host, Noel Tui.
And this is Dark Side of the Moon. Let's get to it, motherfuckers. I am vengeance.
Yeah.
All right, Noel, we're back for another episode, but we're not back alone. This time, we brought our own Cape Crusader along with us, and that is Baish motherfucking Benford. We're going to talk about the Batman, the gothiest, Gothamist motherfucker this world has ever seen. I actually really enjoyed it. It's a really cool fucking detective noir. But Baish, tell the folks who you are, what you do, and why you wanted to come and talk about Batman today.
I look like a gay superhero right now. I'm Baish from the ROC. That's Return of the Critics, if you don't know what the fucking acronym is, which you should. But yeah, I love Batman. I've loved Batman since I was a little kid. I have the bat symbol tattooed on my bicep.
Yeah, your bicep. Well, it's the size of a bicep, your penis.
And then
it's a monster.
I wanted to name one of my kids Bruce, but my wife wasn't going for it. So yeah, they got shitty names, but whatever.
Bruce is a weak ass name.
You're a weak ass
name. Bruce Wayne, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, I didn't say the guys are weak. The Bruce is just weak. It's just a weak ass name.
But yeah, no, you're the only guy we could have had on for this, the true Batman fanatic. But so tell me this, paint me a picture. I don't know how much of this film you knew going in. The trailers that I watched were very setting the scene, but not really setting the story.
Something in the way.
So Baish gets his ticket. He walks in, he sits down, and what was the experience like? Was it everything?
The experience was I nerd orgasmed all over myself.
Deep orgasms, like it.
Dude, it was just, how many times have you seen a comic book movie open like that to where it's just creepy?
Yeah.
And then to add into it when they actually start talking about Batman is like, you honestly don't know where he's coming out of. And that's the whole aesthetic of this film. Is just like anytime that there's a shadow or you hear those boots and you hear those boots and it's just like you get that little bit of a chill.
The bat signal is not just a signal, it's a warning.
Yeah, because when he's coming, he's not coming to stop you from doing crime. He's coming to hurt you. So next time you do crime, it's more of a, should I do this or not?
Yeah.
So that was the aesthetic for me, where it was just like, this isn't Batman where it's campy or whatever. It's grounded to a point where like Batman doesn't know how to pull a punch.
Yeah, no, like the Green Arrow in the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when it was good.
Shit out of people.
But I actually just think on your point, but when he goes to investigate the first murder, the mayor candidate that was dirty gets
Mayor Mitchell,
Mayor Mitchell, he gets murdered by the Riddler really early on, and Batman's going in to investigate it, and but he has to just walk up the stairs dressed like Batman and walk by the cops. It's actually even slightly off, but that's what it would be. Batman, it wouldn't be Batman forever.
Now I'm over here.
It's like everything just seems, now I'm over here. It wouldn't be like, everything just seems to have a purple and orange glow and you get to drop in from a skylight and smoke bombs and stuff. No, like sometimes you literally, like when he shows up at the Penguins Club, do you know who I am? And just kicks and just literally beats the shit out of people till he gets to the
I love that. Going down, just beating the crap out of people. And then when the dude tries to shoot him, he just throws the fucking gun at him. Or the bat at him. Throws the bat at his fucking head.
Where were my batarangs, Baish?
They're in his chest.
They took out one and he cut the thing, but I want.
Yeah, that one is based off back. That was the gun that killed his parents.
For George,
it was melted down and turned into a knife, but the plate sticks in there until he pulls it out, which is awesome because people are like, oh, where's all his batarangs? I'm like, this is Batman Year 2.
Yeah.
Batman doesn't have all those gadgets. That's why he has that big ass utility thing on him. That's why he has that thing on his leg, because he has to use all that shit. It's practical.
Yeah.
It's not like a fucking bat belt where he's pulling
the Batmobile was an extremely and I'm saying you have to compare it to Batmobiles. So when I say an extremely practical car, it was an extremely practical car based on what Michael Keaton had. Based on what Christian Bale had.
Oh, the Tumbler was a car, though. It was a real world car.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying that Like it was like specially engineered, like behind closed doors, Wayne Tech Manor,
Yeah.
and it had like all of this. Like it had a bike built into it. It had like really heavy duty cannon weapons that could take out a bridge, a pillar of a bridge. No, this had nothing like that. This was an extremely powerful car that will get the fucking job done. And everything about this was, it was enough to get the job done. He was just, and it wasn't going to be pretty, and that's what I really loved about this. Because there was nothing pretty. He took, like, when he takes on 3 guys, he's going to kick your ass because he's trained like crazy. But he's going to take damage because he's a human being, and you have 6 fists, and he only has 2.
Like Daredevil.
I loved that. Yeah, like Daredevil. Daredevil. That scene where he's walking up the hall and he kicks everyone's ass, but gets his ass kicked. Because even though he's the best fighter by a million miles, you're taking on 20 guys. That's what it would look like. I love that. That's my favorite thing about the film.
Yeah, that car gave me Christine vibes.
Yeah.
As soon as it started up, like, and people were afraid. Like the Penguin was afraid. All the other guys were afraid. Even like Gordon was afraid because he didn't know what the hell was going on. And then to see that car light up and just go was just fucking amazing.
Jeffrey Wright as Gordon made perfect sense.
Oh yeah. That was maybe I remember everyone shit on that casting though. They're like, why would you cast him as Jim Gordon? Like, doesn't make any sense. You know, this going forward, you know, why not keep J.K. Simmons there? But J.K. Simmons wouldn't have made sense.
Jeffrey Wright's a better actor than J.K. Simmons for that role.
Yeah,
for that role. Yeah. No, would like to point out that nobody is having a go at these actors. They're great actors.
Oh yeah. But Jeffrey Wright, though, he just has that. The way he interacts with characters, like in every movie he's in, he's so smooth.
He has this unassuming but still strong charisma, like a strong, intelligent presence,
and so well spoken as well.
And that's it. He's got a lovely timbre to his voice, and he so that seriousness, that being in an extremely corrupt police department. He seemed to carry the weight of that. Yeah. I mean, you have to talk about Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Ozzy.
I got a chill.
He did so good that he got himself an HBO show because he did so good as the Penguin and transformed so well that HBO, like, I guess, like, some execs saw the movie before everybody else, and they talked about it, I guess, for like a week, and then greenlit a Penguin show on HBO Max.
And Matt Reeves is producing it as well, isn't he?
Yep. Well, he's producing that, and I guess because of how good the movie was, they're producing an Arkham Asylum show instead of a Gotham PD show.
Yeah, because like Gotham PD's been done, hasn't it? Kind of a Gotham, you know.
True.
You know, and I think maybe that's what they looked at. Maybe they're just kind of like, fuck it, let's not retread all ground. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look how captivating these villains really are. Like, you know, we only got to see a small bit of Barry Keoghan's Joker, but we got to see a lot of Paul Dano's Riddler. We got to see a lot of, well, not a lot, but we got to see a good chunk of Colin Farrell's Penguin. That they're like, okay, we've got really solid actors in these roles, and none of them are dead. Like, you know what I mean? Colin Farrell, they're all still around. So they're probably like, let's not retread all ground. Gotham covered the whole genesis of Gotham PD becoming from a normal police department to dealing with these over-the-top vigilantes. And even though it's not an amazing show, it did cover a lot of important ground. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the genesis of a lot of these characters that maybe they're just like, let's just do something different. Let's just fucking put them all in the insane asylum. And you could look at like the Arkham Asylum games and the Arkham Asylum graphic novels, Long Halloween, stuff like that, where you have plenty of inspiration where you can just kind of build a story around that and have it slightly different.
Yeah. So from what I saw is they've already cast Harvey Dent. So Harvey Dent is going to be in the Arkham series on HBO and transition into the next Batman movie.
That's great because then it's done for you.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they could do all this stuff and not have it eat minutes. The big feature that is the film. I'm going to tell you something that I thought was interesting at the very end of that film, where it's clear for half a second I thought it was Harvey Dent in the next cell, because I thought one side of the Joker's face was all messed up. So but then he said like something about like the people see you as a clown and there's worse things to be, and I was like, okay, no, scratch
he used
that.
Joaquin's thing from his movie.
That's it. Yeah,
which is I don't want them to cycle back to that movie. Like, I want, if that, because there's a bunch of iterations of the Joker, let that be an iteration of the Joker. Like, it doesn't have to come back to anything.
Yeah, well, my partner Sheila actually kind of like, we were both watching the film. We watched it with Vinny and his partner Ryan. But she said to me, and I can't say I completely disagree. I can't say I completely agree. But she goes, "Who's that in the next cell?" I said, "It's the Joker." And she goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake." She's just, we've done the Joker. We've done the Joker.
5 different actors.
2 Oscars have been given to the fucking Joker. And if Jack Nicholson had got one, I wouldn't have been surprised because he did a phenomenal joke. The Joker is an amazing character. Maybe the penultimate bad guy in comic books for me. Forget your Thanos and everything. It's Joker. I'll always be a Joker guy. But the Joker has been done, and Batman and Spider-Man, hands down, have the best rogues gallery. Hands down. And I don't know, like, I mean, I don't think she's completely wrong. I don't think that there isn't like something to be said for like going against the grain a little bit, but I suppose you have to give people what they want, and Batman's the opposite side of his coin, like, is the Joker, not
since the 90s. Like, we've had like 4 or 5 Jokers. Like, it's ridiculous. We've had Jack Nicholson, we've had Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, and now we have Barry Keoghan. You know what I mean?
And we've had Luke Skywalker.
In all the animated movies.
And all the animated movies and the games, the Arkham games, they've all featured or like Joker or Joker adjacent, where he's kind of in there somewhere.
Well, Barry's not going to, they already said Barry's not going to be, he said that Barry is going to be in the second movie, but you're going to see him the same amount of time as the first movie.
Save him for the third movie? Or
he's not, so he did something that they're still not going to address why he's still locked up. And the only thing they said is that the reason why his head and his face is, so he has a disease where he can't stop smiling, or face deformity. So they're either saying he either tried to fix his face and that's what happened to it, or they're gonna go old school one
acid
with, where he falls in the acid. So that's why his face. But the Batman is the one who drops him in it. He doesn't fall. Batman drops him in it because he had done something horrible, and that's why he's in Arkham. So you still, like, I think they're not going to bust their nut on the Joker. And I think it's going to be HBO shows and then the movie, and then HBO shows and then the movie.
Yeah, kind of what Marvel are doing.
Yeah. But Marvel's not doing it right, though. They're not.
Marvel are the absolute god tier of planning ahead and building.
Yeah, like if you look at
with movies, but not with shows. Because as you've seen with shows, they haven't been able to do it. Because they tried it with the Mutants one, and that didn't work because the movie came out and it was fucking dog shit. They don't want. Did you see that they took blood out of shit? Like, they took blood out of their shows now.
Oh, that's only for some markets, though. Probably like China and places.
Yeah, well, they're doing it for the US one for Moon Knight.
Boo.
Oh, boo!
That's my point. Like, they're taking. But you see my point. Like, I guess Moon Knight isn't going to transition into any movie.
Yeah, and
either is She-Hulk or.
But they'll appear in the movies, though.
They might appear in the movies, but like WandaVision, that's a one and done. They're not doing another season of it.
I know, but like that was all about to build Wanda's character in between Endgame and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
So instead of losing 30 minutes of a movie and building her character there, just like, we're going to give her a TV series and everybody knows where she's at.
There. Yeah. I don't know. Like I told you guys before, Marvel, to me, they color with the same 4 crayons.
Yeah.
So it's just like, seeing this Batman, seeing Aquaman, gives me a little bit, and seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League shows you that DC is grittier and darker. I mean, seeing the Batman just like nails that, thing home.
Yeah. Oh, DC are definitely grittier and darker, but they haven't been as successful as tying an integrated universe together in the same way Marvel has, because like, if you look at the successes, like in all the movies you named out, they're all so different than one another that like Aquaman has got a completely different tone than Batman. Like Zack Snyder's interpretation of Batman is completely different than Matt Reeves. But like, and then at the same time you have Ezra Miller's The Flash. And at the same time you got Grant Gustin's The Flash on TV. And for casuals, I just think that is such a mess. Like, for us, we can read through the lines. We're like, yeah, Ben Affleck's playing him here, Robert Pattinson's playing him here, and you have 2 different people playing the same character at the same time. But for casuals, it's just too much and it's too messy. And that's the issue. Like, it's just not coherent enough with the DC things. And like, I'm totally up for them saying, okay, we can't do the Marvel thing, let's do our own thing. And we get like 3 Battison movies. I'm totally cool with that. Like, and it can be completely separate and doesn't need to have a Superman. It can be completely grounded, but it shouldn't coexist at the same time as Ben Affleck playing Batman. There should not be 2 actors playing the same character at any given time, because that just shows DC don't have the same depth of characters as Marvel,
I think it's multiverse, and I think they're gonna go at it the way that the animation goes at it. So you're gonna have 3 Batmen. You're gonna have Keaton. They already said it. There's Keaton is a Batman. Pattinson, Robert Pattinson, he is, the Batman going forward, and Affleck is the Nightmare Batman.
Yeah.
Affleck is the deep steeped in the world of magic and aliens and Batman.
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint and all that kind of
so
stuff.
He's gonna be the one stuck in the the Flashpoint, the whatever. So whatever he does, that's gonna be him right there. Keaton is gonna be the older statesman Batman who is, I think, Earth 1 or Earth 2, and then you have Pattinson, and then Supergirl is gonna be the one taking over for Henry Cavill in the new one going forward.
Right.
He didn't get fair shake, I think.
Yeah, she's going to be Supergirl, and that's going to be, even though Supergirl, a lot of people don't know, is stronger than.
She absorbs light quicker. She absorbs sunlight quicker, so she has edges on Superman, definitely.
But we just had a Supergirl for like 4 or 5 seasons. This is my issue. Like, they're going to recast Melissa Benoist. Like, it just shows once again they don't really have the depth of characters. They're just reusing the same characters over and over again.
I think WB I think those guys getting fired from Warner Brothers is what's turned all this stuff the right way. Because all those dudes were just trying to get paid.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna collect a check, just push the movie out. It doesn't matter if it's crap, fucking go for it.
But this movie was definitely to circle it back. I think this movie was definitely not crapped out. This movie had a great deal of care put into it. But if there was one thing I didn't love, I thought that the Bruce Wayne, Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, reminds me of myself after Kurt Cobain killed himself. I'm just gonna hang out in my room, be dark. I don't care. I don't even care if I ever die.
He's emo.
Emo. And I mean, I was 11 when, so I wasn't like this all dude, but I was just like, I don't care about anything now. I just want to listen to my records. I was like, dude, you're supposed I
thought that too, but then you gotta remember, like, who has he been able to be around?
Yeah.
No, there's nobody. So he's essentially been by himself or with Alfred. And Alfred even said, I can teach you how to fight. I can teach you how to mend yourself. I can't teach you these other things, these people skills. So I think that's what it is. He doesn't know how to show emotion. You saw his only emotion being shown was to either, Catwoman or to Alfred.
Yeah.
And that was it. He just beat the shit out of everybody else, or was just like super short with everybody else.
Yeah, his relationship with Catwoman in this was next level. Like, their chemistry,
their chemistry is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And the way the movie was shot, the scenes together as well, it was like, I don't know who did the cinematography for this, Noel. Do you know the way this
cinematography? No, not a clue. But it did flow really, really beautifully, and I like the fact that they didn't fuck around with Catwoman. She just happens to be a woman who is, I don't know, probably has a background in gymnastics and stuff like that, and has trained herself because she's a girl, an attractive young woman living in Gotham, how to take care of herself. And she went, her fight scene, she was just extremely capable. Every move she made seemed coordinated. It wasn't silly or something, it didn't seem like she was trying to jump off the walls. And I don't know, because we've seen Catwomen before, and Michelle Pfeiffer was a great Catwoman, but I didn't really get what they were going for. Like, did she have 9 lives, or what was the deal there? And then you had, of course, Halle Berry's superhero Catwoman. So it was nice to just see Catwoman as a girl, a woman who knows how
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, she was Anne Hathaway. Thank you. But she was a cat burglar living in Gotham, so she is extremely capable of taking care of herself. And I thought that was I like that kind of that version of her, I have to say.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about it was like everybody seems to forget in a lot of the other Batman movies is that he is the world's greatest detective. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what the one I loved about it was that it reminded me of movies like Zodiac, or reminded me of TV shows like Mindhunter, and or even Seven, where like you had this kind of weird interactions with the killer, and the killer himself was like if anyone's seen Seven, John Doe's relationship with David Mills, played by Brad Pitt, like is the backbone of the movie, this weird obsession he has with him, in the same way Paul Dano has this weird obsession with Bruce Wayne and Batman, for 2 totally different reasons, because he doesn't know they're the same person, obviously. But that's what I love about it. That I had this weird emotional connection, the Batman and the Riddler, and and it was played really, really well with the different fucking the riddles and the clues and the detective aspect of it, that he was leaving this kind of trail of breadcrumbs from to follow. And while Batman was thinking he was kind of solving the crime, and even though he kind of was solving the case, not in the same way, he was kind of giving the Riddler everything he wanted, because he didn't realize that whilst he was solving the case, that he was also playing the Riddler's game. And that's what I loved about it, that they had this, it was a classic kind of cat and mouse detective story, but the detective aspects of it were really well done.
Yeah, Paul Dano as the Riddler was perfect casting, and the
Great
crazy
actor.
thing about that is he went out for Batman.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, him and Pattinson went out for Batman. Pattinson got the call. Dano was like kind of distraught about it. He got a call. He said like 20 minutes later, like, "Hey, we want you to play this," and he jumped all over it. And it's kind of like the Heath Ledger, Christian Bale thing. They both went for Batman. Christian Bale
and Loki, same deal.
Loki too, yeah.
Like Nicholas Hoult nearly got to the guy who played Beast in the newer X-Men movies. He would have been an interesting Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
that would have been interesting.
Pattinson's better though, I think, because he's more range. Like one thing, like when I heard he was going to be cast as Batman, obviously, like everybody, we all made fun of it. But then when you see the body of work he did in between that time the announcement was made, when Batman came out, I think everybody was just like, "Oh, okay, let's see how it goes." Because we're like, okay, he's actually a good actor. You know what I mean? He's putting himself out there. Like he made that movie with Tom Holland where he's like this fucking preacher or some shit.
Dude, that was rough.
That movie is rough as fuck. And he did The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe. And
awesome.
Gold Rush. Is that the movie with Matthew McConaughey? No.
Yeah, and Tenet.
Oh, Tenet is a trash movie.
Trash film. Sorry, and I wanted to like it.
Makes no sense. No, the movie makes no sense. It's utter dog shit.
Yeah.
But the acting he does and the acting Denzel Washington's son does, kind of makes up for the crap that was that movie that made no fucking sense.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, like they looked good. Tenet looked good, but it made exactly. It's like what you say. It made absolutely no sense. Like, you know what I mean? It got so high concept that had no concept. You know what I mean? Like, but like I just think that like with everyone's lowered expectations initially with him getting cast as Batman, and then him showing the world how good of an actor he's become in the last few years. Do you see that? Yeah.
No, I just sent it to you.
Yeah. All right. I'm not changing it. He goes, he's like changed Baige's name to Black Man.
I put acid there.
Black Man.
Boo.
Boo.
But yeah, like I just think he did such a good fucking job being Batman. Like I know that Bruce Wayne, for me, I thought it wasn't as good, but he looked so good in the suit. Like he really did. In those scenes, you could feel his intensity, like, and all the lowered expectations. And then, even though they were slightly heightened when we saw what he could do in the meantime, that he just really filled the suit really well. And like, even though the I'm Vengeance thing was as bad as fucking Evil Dies Tonight, but like, you know, it was cool at the first time I heard it. But the other 16 times they said I'm Vengeance or call him Vengeance or Mr. Vengeance or Vengeancey for the whole fucking movie, it kind of grated on me a bit, because none of those people heard him say I'm Vengeance at the start of the movie. Just put that out there.
I assume he said it to some like criminals and a few criminals.
I think that's what happened too. I think he said it to enough people are beating the shit out of them. Like, who are you? It's like in the first Batman movie with Keaton. He's like, who are you? He's like, I'm Batman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure he said it to a bunch of fucking villains. So that got around where it's just like, oh, that's fucking Batman. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's what happened with Pattinson. That movie, watching like Paul Dano in the scene where he gets caught.
Yeah, in the diner.
When they're in the jail cell. Okay, so we have a thing on the RLC right now going back and forth with me and Gentleman Rob, where Gentleman Rob thinks that the Riddler knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Oh, he 100% knows.
You think he knows?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. He sent a package to Bruce Wayne. Yeah, he does.
He doesn't.
I know. Yeah, and he has the Batman thing and it's fireproof.
He puts the Batman. No, he doesn't know, because he sends the Batman. He sends that envelope to every victim.
Yeah, and
he
it
put
was
Batman in
always
and he
two
put
to
the burn.
Batman.
It's
And he
always
put
for
the
the Batman to
burn.
find.
So the letter wouldn't burn up.
Yeah, no,
That's
but
why
I do
Because
think
if
that.
he wouldn't have done that, Noel, if he thought like if there was the same person, like he
But
wanted.
you remember all the clues that like, no, you're at the center of this.
But no, he thought he was going to kill
Batman
Bruce.
is helping.
Yeah,
But
because I was going to team up with him or something.
Well, no, yeah. So that's what it is. He believes that he's Batman's sidekick or Batman's his sidekick, whichever way you want to go with it.
Or Batman had just seen the full picture, but when he does,
no,
so
but
we'll be equals.
He definitely doesn't think they're the same person though, because otherwise,
right?
Because
yeah,
he would have. He thought he was going to kill Bruce Wayne, but yeah, he left a clue for Batman to find.
Yeah. So when he says we got everybody except for Bruce.
Yeah.
We got them all. Bruce Wayne was the only one we couldn't get, but it's okay. And he looks at him. And that you can see that sigh of relief to where he's just like, "Oh, you don't know who I am. All right, I don't have to come in there and try to fucking kill you." Like that.
Yeah, he does all Bruce. Yeah.
Paul Dano is so good in this movie, man.
Yeah, when he kept.
How did Paul Dano think he was going to be Batman? He's got the roundest face and ever had.
He's put on weight.
He win for it. You can't blame the guy for trying.
Oh no, absolutely. But the whole thing, you need the chin. Like you need a chin. You can't the guy literally has the most perfect circular head.
That's why Nicholas Hoult and Robert Pattinson, apart from being good actors, that's why they were the last two guys, the last guys that were going for it because of the chin, the jawline. You have to look good in the suit,
Yeah, I'm surprised Holt didn't get picked up for like Harvey Dent, or I mean, he might have, or because he has that same kind of jaw. That
maybe Nightwing too old, maybe I suppose.
I mean, I think that's too old because Nightwing would have to be like
Robin first.
Yeah, and plus Nightwing would have to be. Let's say they're saying Pattinson's 27 as Batman in that thing, so Nightwing would only be probably 13 at that point.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're talking two more movies
younger. So I mean, I would like to see Nicholas Hoult like redeem himself from the shit show that was X-Men, but
the Days of Future Past and First Class I thought were solid movies.
I thought First Class was good.
Yeah, I like Days of Future Past. Some of the action.
I like Days of Future Past and I love First Class. Yeah, but
Matthew Vaughn, was it? He did both those movies. No, Bryan Singer did. Bryan Singer did Days of Future Past. So.
Yeah, and he's just gone from strength to strength, and everyone loves him. I do actually have to say, I suppose that one thing I didn't take into account when I'm kind of reviewing this in my head that Baish did because he watched it 24 times is
6 times.
6 times
is that this is still a Batman who's learning his way, but it also stands to reason that's still a Bruce Wayne that's learning his way. That he knows maybe to play the game as Batman, he might have to learn how to play the game as Bruce Wayne. Like maybe the Wayne Industries can help Batman, and the best way to do that is have a seat at the table of Wayne Industries.
Christian Bale had to do the same thing in Batman Begins.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I jumped the gun a little bit when I'm saying, but he did. He just it's undeniable. When you have Nirvana, Something in the Way playing 3 times, I think, before, and sometimes they had those first 2 notes like doom, 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 doom. Yeah. But it was undeniably got that gothic emo feel. But I did think like when he was Bruce Wayne, I don't care what happens to me. I don't care if I can't make a change. And I was like, dude.
Yeah, I thought he was a better Batman than he was Bruce Wayne, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like Bruce Wayne would show up at the party with the 2 girls on his arms, and because he needs everyone to think that he doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, because he's the one guy that would never save the city.
Exactly. He's the one guy that wouldn't save the city. He shows up to the galas and he donates $1 million every year, even though he doesn't pay any taxes. You know what I mean? Like just typical billionaire bullshit.
Like the one Chris Bale was like, "Oh, I got the whole ballet to come on my yacht and all these kind of things. I bought the hotel or some shit." Because he really because Michael Caine taught him in Batman Begins. You have to make it as Bruce Wayne as well. Like you can't just be Batman. Bruce Wayne has to survive too. He has to live.
Yeah.
It's all about the Wayne legacy. You want to create your own legacy as Batman. That's all well and good. Do that. Do your thing at night. But during the day, you have to represent as Bruce Wayne. And that's one thing I did. I know Baish spoke about him being more introverted in this, and it's a really good point. But I just think that maybe they didn't show enough of him as Bruce Wayne, or just that he didn't show enough as Bruce Wayne. I just thought like when he was in the suit and when he was Batman, he had this kind of cold psychopathy about him almost that it really, really fitted. He fitted the role, and he
was Batman. He wasn't Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I've seen that as kind of like this is actually the real you, and the real you, that's the mask. You know, he's been in the superhero age for quite a while now. You know, like,
so that has to be like he's only been Batman for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
So he hasn't learned how to be, Bruce Wayne yet.
Yeah.
So he's fully engulfed in Batman. He's fully Batman.
Of course.
He's not Bruce Wayne. Bruce, like he even says in the movie, he's like, well, you're gonna lose everything. I don't give a shit about that. Like I have this down here. This is what.
But you might even lose this. I mean, how you know what I mean? You can't. You won't even have your.
I mean, if he loses all his money, he still has, But I do like that they showed how he was building the Batmobile down there.
Yes.
How like they showed the engine apart. How they showed like the exhaust and the transmission that's out there and laid out of him building it to a point where it's not just like, oh, we have Lucius Fox building all your shit, and you're like, how is one old black dude building all this shit for you?
He's a genius. And Morgan Freeman.
I would love to see a Lucius Fox as like Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, he'd be a good guy.
Because they're both named Fox. I see it. Yeah, no, I see it.
Plus, he's young, and he would be able to play it to a point where
he's like 50.
Okay, Morgan Freeman's like 90. So
yeah. But I have to say, the only thing that he had, like I know the flight suit that he gets at the top of the building,
squirrel suit.
The squirrel suit. But the only thing he had that would be high tech, like, was the grappling hook, like an actual grappling hook that can shoot with enough pressure. Oh, but have you ever seen actually? Did you ever see the Mythbusters? We actually tried to make one to actually have that much condensed gas in a small enough container to shoot a grappling hook that high and be able to lift the weight of a person is actually something that we would have no idea how to do. You know, it's like that.
Do soldiers not have grappling hooks?
Not. Do you see where he escaped?
Grapple guns.
No, they do. No, but you're talking about something like the way he escaped the police precinct. He shot up like X amount of floors and it just sipped him up. No, that shit isn't around.
Our grappling hooks, or for military that I know of, is those things like it'll shoot up, but essentially you're using more strength to climb up.
Yeah,
and it's pulling you up.
Like it's all in that release, but
so that release like jolts you a little bit up, but you have to pretty much pull yourself up. It's not like how Noah's saying where it shoots and it brings him up. Like it's essentially pulling his whole body weight up with it.
Yeah, and it's obviously, and it's hit something with enough impact, as opposed to the grappling hook where you shoot it over a wall and it grabs onto the wall. This thing, like anything it hits, it just seems to be able to just zip him away. Like that was high tech. Everything else was, everything else was very, very.
Is the technology not identical to like a towing cable though? Like, do you know when you're towing something and you have that, you can wind it back up by pressing a button?
Yeah, I'm just saying that all of that handheld, enough gas compression and enough mechanical kind of components to pull to A, release the grappling hook, and B, pull your entire body weight up in the palm of your hand. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I can say that you can't put it in the palm of your hand. Yes, that would be extreme high tech. Everything else was kind of like they stripped them down. They had the little bomb kind of things, and they had stuff that I expected them to have. But I liked it. I did like it. I liked the Batman. It's not like the Arkham games where you drop down and you just press like a button to dodge, and then you take the bat off them and beat them to death.
Not to death.
Yeah, because you can always go detective mode. They're alive. PG rating.
But like one thing I really liked about the bat suit itself was how it actually looked like body armor.
Yeah,
like it didn't just look like a Batman suit. It was like okay, he had the whole pointy ears or whatever, and he had the bat symbol, but the suit itself looked like it was made out of body armor, like it was Kevlar or something like that. Like that, it actually looked really durable. But one thing that kind of confused me: what were the things on his wrist?
Were they part of the squirrel suit? Somebody suggested. I think it might have been you or Lorraine that suggested that.
I didn't suggest it.
When the suit actually zips up, obviously that entire thing had to be. But to me, at first I thought, they shoot spikes. Are they part of the grappling hook? And I seen him like he uses it to, like when he's fending for himself. But like it needs to look so fancy. Yeah, but no, but it's too much. There was too many components. It looked like there was too many components for it to be just that.
Baish, you've seen
gauntlets.
Yeah, they're for blocking.
Yeah, they're for blocking. And if you notice when he shot out and hit the twins in the legs and hit the other guys when they were on top of the ceiling thing, that's what that's for. So if you notice when he used it, it was missing too.
Oh, so like darts, are they, dude?
So they're darts. They shoot out. That's what he's shooting at you.
Oh, so when he puts his arm, I just thought he used his grappling hook on the second twin that came around the corner.
No, so he shot and then he pulls him forward, and then that's when he slipped under. because he used 3 of them, 3 or 4 when he came from the roof, and he used 2 on the twins.
Oh, cool,
Fair
cool.
enough.
Yeah, no, because like I was wondering what they were. Because do you think this is going to be the early stages of the really famous Batman gauntlets, where they flare out at the edges, and you can use that shit to fire shit
I
off?
don't think he's gonna do the flare all the way out. He might do a little bit of a spike, but Matt said that he really wanted to have the suit, not something that anyone could make, but something that was more practical.
Real
He
world
didn't want to go
application.
crazy with it, so that's why you have armor instead of Kevlar.
Yeah.
So it's like Batman getting shot. When you have Kevlar, he gets shot in the same spot more than twice. It's going through.
Yeah.
So having armor makes more sense. Yes, he's slower, but that's what you expect out of like essentially a souped up Iron Man.
Yeah, kind of like a slightly lighter weight version of the Batman armored Batman suit we see Ben Affleck wearing in BVS. No, yeah, BVS and Justice League as well, I think. That's what I liked about it. It's just like it looked like something dude, like it's like in the Christian Bale movies, like, oh, I ordered 10,000 just so no one would suspect. This isn't the guy that orders 10,000 of anything. This is the guy that orders all the parts himself, and he's gonna be like
from 10 different dealers or something, just smart, but
yeah, exactly. They're just
small.
The kind of guy that's like, okay, I need body armor. Okay, how do I figure out how do I make body armor? I'm not going to order body armor. How do I figure out how I make it? How it can actually be applicable to me in the environment that I'm in? And that's what I love about it. It's like what Baish said about putting the car together. I love when they show the genius of these characters, because like with Spider-Man, we got to see Andrew Garfield's genius in his movies, whether or not they're much maligned.
Do you remember when he actually makes it? Would Garfield actually makes the web liner work first? He's not even wearing it, he has it all kind of set up in a lab kind of thing, and he's looking at it, he's going like, you could say there was this glee, like actually tangible glee. But I have to say one thing, but do you remember the car chase against the Penguin? And he causes some sort of truck or tanker or something to go over, and there's a big explosion, so Batman goes up. It was a petrol truck, and Batman gas truck, Vinny, and he goes up the ramp. And then like Penguin, like he goes up the ramp, and then Penguin goes, I got away from him. Wow, that sure was some chase. Anyway, I guess I'll be on my way. And it was just like,
I love Penguin's reaction though. It's like,
Batman comes out. I was like, how long were you in the air?
Man, I love Penguin's reaction. Well, it's like, I got you.
He went up on the ramp. So remember when he's driving and the ramp drops down and he hits it into boost or into NOS, and he goes up. So right when he's going up, that's when they cut over to Penguin going off, because it explodes. So it's exploding as he's going up the actual ramp. So that's how he gets in the air. So it's the cut, and people lose like sight of time at that point, because they're trying to show you 2 different aspects of
they're happening at the same time.
Yeah. They're seeing what he sees and what he sees at the same amount of time. So Colin Farrell going, I got you, and then it cuts to real time again, and then Batman jumping through the fucking flame, super badass, and dropping down. It's just
man, like it was just so fucking cool though. Like you can like even though for me I thought it could have been slightly shorter, the pacing was my only issue with the entire movie, like, but it looks so fucking good. Like everything about it, like the opening sequence we were talking about earlier, like with Paul Dano, his the first appearance as the Riddler. That's like something you see straight out of a fucking 1990s kind of drama, like those kind of real thrillers, like a Seven or something like that. Like, and the way he plays with the media, like the Zodiac movie, we got to see both David Fincher movies actually, but like you can see that style, that kind of gritty griminess. And then when we got to see the city center of Gotham, where it looks like Times Square, but kind of like Times Square, man, do you remember like the old 1970s New York kind of movies, that kind of stuff? And I love the way it just captured, like it's obviously a titan of a town, or sorry, titan of a city, and it's got this massive global effect, the city, this position it holds, but it's like it's gone past its prime, that it's in the downward spiral. Like everything about it is cool and massive, but it's not as new, and everything about it has aged, and everybody about it has aged, and everybody in Gotham is just kind of being worn down by what it means to live in Gotham, and Gotham itself is being worn down by what it means to be Gotham. And I just love that, the way it captured this kind of 1970s, 1980s New York type feel, because some of my favorite thrillers and dramas were made either in the 90s about the 70s and 80s, or made in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of times they were set in New York, and some of the best crime dramas were from there. And that's what they did with Gotham, and this, they kind of captured that old school New York feel.
Yeah.
Great reply there, Baish. Thanks.
Well, I got nothing to say because the next thing I was going to talk about was Batman blowing out the top of the ceiling.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody explain to me, did Batman go down and lay charge? Because I was expecting during that scene, I thought that the bat plane might
no. He laid charges all
and
the
I
time.
love to see that scene where he's like,
He's
Batman like shuffling around. Yeah, Batman shuffling around going, that's one. That's two. God, everyone's drowning inside. I better hurry up. Because it was.
Well, I think when he found, I think that blowing up part was to distract those dudes from shooting.
Yeah.
The blow up part, he drops down, which was super fucking badass. The blowing up, him dropping down, just wow. And then him just beating the holy fuck out of all those guys. And then like when he puts the little the proximity mine or the time bomb on the fire extinguisher, and it blows up in the smoke, and he jumps out of the smoke and like the barrel roll on the dude and throws the other guy at the other. Like it's out of a video game, but it's out of a comic too. So it's just like you're watching it and you're just like, man, almost every comic book movie that you see is like happy and this movie felt like you were watching a comic book come to life.
Yeah, man, one thing I love about Batman's fighting style is he's the master of misdirection. Like, you know what I mean? That's what, like you're saying, he used the fire extinguisher. That explosion is not just like about the cool entry, even though it looked fucking awesome, is that when you're going into battle, if you're outnumbered, what a great way to do is disorientate your enemy so you can actually ambush them and you can actually use their numbers against them. And that's what he did. Is like, I'm fighting in a tight quarter, they're shooting at a crowd en masse. I need to go in there. I need to stop the shooting, like you said, Baish. And I also need to disorientate them so I can start taking out motherfuckers as soon as I make landfall. And that's what I love about it. Like, he fights with a strategy, and he's constantly, like, as he says earlier on in the movie, the shadows, I could be in any shadows. I've become the shadows kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's everywhere and nowhere.
Remember the first guy in the subway, sorry, to just jump on your point, Vin.
Work away.
The first guy in the subway, I am vengeance and all, like he breaks that fucker's arm.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and it was such that kind of thing where, like, yeah, you got the numbers on me, but that's what I can do to you in 1 second. So yeah, maybe there's 10 of you, so maybe you can beat me. No problem, beat me then. Which one goes first?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is a powerful thing.
The taser, and he goes to choke the kid.
Oh,
he just tases the shit out of his neck and holds it there. Doesn't let go when he's
really badly. Yeah, really holds it there. Really fucks him up. So it's like non-lethal, but anything up to that, like, well, to be fair, I don't think he's out to like literally like break spinal cords and cripple or anything like that. So I'm not. It's obviously it's before that, but let's just say up to that, broken arms, broken wrists, broken knees, broken legs. Deal with it. Not my problem. I didn't force you to come here tonight. But and anything short of that, he just doesn't give a shit, and I love that because it wasn't.
Because he's not refined yet. He's not about this. Like, he's about.
He's not like pressure points. And
it's a personal vendetta at this stage. As he says, I am vengeance. He's talking about, I'm the vengeance of Gotham. I'm the vengeance of my parents. I'm the vengeance of my trauma. That's what he's talking about. And I am vengeance. But he hasn't learned how to harness that rage. And that's the difference. Like, he's going in, he's just obliterating dudes. And later on in the movie, that's what the whole climax is about. That he finally realizes that I can't just be vengeance. I have to be more than a vengeance of or a symbol of fear. I have to be a symbol of heroism, and I have to be a symbol of good in Gotham. So that's why when he starts saving people and people start trusting him. And that's the first time he goes from being a vigilante to a hero. And like, even though the climax for me was much bigger than the rest of the scope of the movie, it was very important when you look at it, especially when I seen it the second time, that moment is so important for him realizing I have to be more than vengeance. I have to be something else. You know what I mean? I have to be a symbol of hope. And that's the difference between him at the start of the movie and him at the end, where he realizes that he has to save people as well as hurt people. And that's what he can do. And he can be a symbol of hope and good, as well as be a symbol of fear. If you can be a symbol of fear to your enemies, but at the same time being a symbol of hope to the people of Gotham and show them that they can rise up against these kind of things. And I think that's what he showed at the end, the transition of just being a vigilante to being a hero. And that's what I loved about it.
I'm going to bounce on that. I'll bounce on that. That's the name of my sex tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he did seem to be like, the city that it's that thing where something so terrible happens to you, you really don't want to see it happen to anyone else.
Yeah,
and that's great. That's
classic
humanity.
superhero trope.
Oh yeah, exactly. But it's humanity at its finest.
Yeah,
It's humanity as absolute finest that you can think about anybody else.
Why many people
like,
become doctors or first responders.
Yeah, if you don't let it swallow you and you actually try to turn into something, because a lot of times people go off the rails and they end up very self-destructive, which is also absolutely fine because that's how severe a trauma it was.
Yeah.
But he decided to turn into something good. But obviously anything can become a compulsion.
Yeah.
So then the city itself became like his responsibility. He needs to be like, and they did do that well. Even he's, you know what? I know I'm sounding like I'm contradicting myself, but even his Bruce Wayne did that well because his Bruce Wayne was still kind of being Batman. You know what I mean? His Bruce Wayne was just like he was tired. He came into the lobby, and Alfred was working out one of the Riddler's puzzles, and he's tired because he's just been Batman for the last few hours, and he's just going to go back and be Batman some more. You know, you just caught him on a toilet break or something. You know, so even that, like the city itself, became his most hated thing, his most loved thing, his girlfriend, his passion, his absolute everything. So like I do think that it's great. It's the best component of humanity, but it takes a nice gothic kind of dark twist, but not to the point where he becomes an anti-hero. He's a flat hero. He's an absolute flat hero. And I think, to be fair to Robert Pattinson, I think he did that extremely well. So I've softened up in my approach to his. I'm not going to say he was a good Bruce Wayne because that's not what I know of Bruce Wayne. But to be fair, it's year 2 and he's quite young.
Yeah, and the points Baish made as well.
They're valid points. They're valid points, and I have to confess them. But Baish, if I had to like absolute gun to your head and your life depends on it, what didn't you like about this film?
Are you serious? We cannot keep it for the end. This fucking guy.
I don't know. I had a question. I went for it.
We have a best and worst section for this kind of
stuff. Then I relinquish my question. Baish, these are not the robots you were looking for. Roy, right. Oh my god. Vinny, keep all of that in.
So I do think going with the comic book of Catwoman being Carmine's daughter was beautiful, because then you understood why she was so angry, and it wasn't just because he's a bad guy. No, he's kind of a piece of shit, and by kind of, he is one. Like he's a huge piece of shit, and to find out that he killed her mom, and like she had to grow up in foster system, and
what, you think this doesn't hurt me?
Right. And then just like even Paul Dano's backup story when he's telling that story about orphans. Like that little soliloquy of like him talking about one baby dying every winter, him being on drugs at age 12 just to get through what he was going through, rats gnawing at your fingers while you slept. That kind of brought you into like, man, like all these guys that destroyed the Wayne Fund or the just the city fund. You're just like, dude, like each one of them, the renewal. Each one of them got what they deserved. Like even when you start thinking about it, it's like, you know, you understand why he's so fucked up.
The best villains are the ones you can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though you don't agree with their actions, you can still understand their actions.
It always makes you think, well, if I was pushed that to that brink, like if I was pushed that far and I was capable, because of like so many, you know, if I had like, obviously this guy's got.
I can imagine your riddles.
Yeah.
You can never find me. I'm not the one. My name might rhyme with something like Noel John.
Hey, that was good. That was good. That was good. That was some evil villain shit right there. That was good. You see the little cat behind you? That cat.
That's it.
That's all you need.
That's the
that was good.
That's the smartest
thing
you're ever going to say.
That's the clip.
That's the clip. You have literally you've reached the top of the mountain. You remember when Homer was like, I guess he's barking up the wrong bush during the George Bush episode? And he was like, well done, Homer. The smartest thing you're ever going to say. And there's no one around here. So this is yours, man. It's on record. Well
wow. That was great. I'll give you that one. You deserve an Oscar or a slap. Either one.
If Will Smith comes up and slaps me, he's going to get some of the Irish smoke. That's all I'm saying. I'm not holding back.
I'm very angry with you. I live at 4150 Woodville Avenue. very, very short filler indeed. That's what I was about to say is that he's not just higher digits than me, like he has an extra digit than me, like, you know.
Yeah.
So but you could imagine if you could like strike back, you would.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, what would you do if somebody hurt one of your kids? What would you do if somebody hurt one of your parents, or so, or just anyone in your life? And you kind
we
of
talking about Will Smith or Batman?
Yeah, I know.
I actually don't know.
Topical.
It's an actual question.
We could go to a dark place, and both people had something terrible happen to them, and one was from pure affluence, but he lost his parents, and then the other one was just so far down the rung, a kind of forgotten person who was swallowed up by the system. So one person went after the crime element because that's what took his parents, and one person went after the system because that's what did it. That's what fucked him over.
Took his life.
Yeah, no, and that he did strike a sympathetic character, and that's hard to do with somebody who does like objectively terrible things. But it's good storytelling.
Paul Dano is such a talented fucking actor, though. He
really Paul Dano is such a talented actor.
He really is. Like, it's hard to believe that he was one of the kids in was it that fucking porn star movie, The Girl Next Door? Do you know that movie? Yeah, he's like he's the kid with the big dick in that. Do you know that movie? Like, you know, it's amazing that he came from like a comedy like that to being in movies like fucking
I mean, he was in There Will Be Blood.
Yeah. Oh man,
was he in that? I haven't watched that film in a while.
Man, his acting in that next to Daniel Day-Lewis was just amazing.
So good. So good. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like when I seen that movie, and I was like, "Wait, this is the kid from Girl Next Door." What? He's like, he's been as good as Daniel Day-Lewis in this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On par. They were on par with each other. Yeah. I did like the element of like, you ever watch like superhero movies? And the main thing of what they're trying to do, like their main scheme, the hero always thwarts, right?
Yeah.
Except for like Infinity War when the snap. Yeah. This was awesome because the main thing that Riddler wanted to happen happened.
Yeah.
Like the levees blew, it flooded. They got shots on people. They got everybody in there. The guys were up there shooting. It wasn't like it was only one shot. They were shooting at people, so you don't know how many people they actually killed. And then to add to that, like Batman has to come in late. It's not in the nick of time. It's not, it's late. Every moment in this movie, Batman was late.
Yeah.
He was never on time.
It shows him, doesn't it? Like that, like this is something that's going to be huge for the character because it's going to show him not to play other people's games. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what he does the entire way through it. He's always literally one step behind the Riddler because he's always showing up with the crimes after they've already occurred. And like, that's what I loved about it, that, excuse me, that the Riddler kind of won. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, even Batman.
Winning was never the objective. Like whatever we call winning, as in, I've taken all the money from the bank and I've got away with it. That's just winning. That's just really, really simple. But winning was destroying the city, and he did, you know, and he achieved that in such a huge way. And when he's in the cell and he's just going like he's conducting a symphony. He's just like boom. He's just he's as happy. He's happier than me or you or I will ever be.
Yeah, and how he lost was the city still felt hope. I think that's how he lost. That's the only reason, because of how Batman.
It's how Heath Ledger's Joker lost, because he was trying to prove that society, you know, the people in the one ship would choose themselves. And
some men just want to watch the world burn. I love that fucking line. Like, that's what it shows, that like pretty much I hate myself so much. I hate what's looking back at me, and he sees society should be a mirror of what he is, and if it's not, they believe that anyway. So when you have a character like Joker in the ferry scene, or when you have the Riddler in this, where he thinks that Batman is going to just go and he's not going to save people, he's just going to go and try, like, you know, kill everybody or whatever, and go to the same way, the same kind of ends he's gone. But what he did was he went to the opposite direction. Batman put himself on the line. He like electrocuted himself to save all those people. Like, you know what I mean? He could have died then, and then like the first thing he does when he gets out of that water is start rescuing motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So that's, even though the Riddler kind of won in a sense, but in a sense he also lost, was one thing I loved about this movie, that the actual actions of Batman after the walls collapsed and all that is what turned Batman into a hero. And it's kind of like, it's the thing that Riddler never didn't want. He thought Batman was going to be like him. He's damaged. he hates the city, he's turning on the city, he wants to destroy the system. But what Batman wanted to do is not destroy the system, he wanted to repair the system. And like, you know, and that was the differences kind of between the two characters. Batman didn't even realize that until the Riddler showed him how damaged the system really was. Is one thing I loved about it, you know.
No. Like when he's screaming, dude.
Yeah.
No. Like, no. You're just like, dude.
Because it's a rehearsed moment. It's a rehearsed moment.
Yeah.
In his head, it's like, okay, he's gonna love this. It's gonna be great. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna be friends. You know, we're gonna do what Noel does at night and touch buttholes. It's gonna be great. And then when Batman called him a psycho and pretty much a piece of shit, and that he wasn't going to be remembered, the switch just flipped, and it was like, what the fuck? And that's the greatest thing about this. What people didn't understand is that in that moment, Batman created the Riddler because you had a psychopath, you had a guy. He was okay with being caught.
Yeah, like most of the
caught, he was good. At that point of Batman going against him, he created the Riddler because now he's in a cell. Now he gets to ponder, how do I hurt Batman now?
Exactly. Because before it was like nearly Joker, how do I entice Batman nearly, wasn't it?
It's also
now it's how do I hurt him? Now you have the Joker in another cell. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but when they panned out, there were 2 more cells.
Oh, empty or full?
There was 2 more cells. There was 2 corner cells, and just like an L shape, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 3 being the Riddler and 4 being the Joker on the L. You can
see a shadow in one of them, and then something moves in the other one, so you don't know who's in those other 2 cells.
We just need to watch this movie 18 more times of it.
I'll stream it with you, and we could watch it together. And just do it that way. I'll watch it more times.
But before we get to the next section, Baish, I want to ask you, have you ever seen the animated movie Hush? Batman Hush.
The DC movie, man. Hush.
Did not like it.
I love it.
Do you not think that the Batman took a lot of its influences from that movie and how it styled the Riddler, even though they didn't call him Hush like that movie did?
Yeah.
You know.
So I think they styled the Riddler after Hush. I just didn't like Hush because that's not Hush.
Yeah.
Hush isn't the Riddler. Hush is Sam Elliott.
Yes.
James Elliott, is it?
James Elliott, sorry. That's who Hush is. And when they said Hush on the screen in the Batman movie, I like got all like that. Like, are they going to do Hush at some point?
Be awesome. Where
he's doing surgery on people throughout the city and killing people to make Bruce Wayne's face. Like I was thinking, like I like they took the Riddler from that, because the Riddler is supposed to be psychotic. He's a killer. Yeah. He's not jokey. He's not campy. He's not wearing a spandex fucking suit, dancing around with a big ass fucking cane that lights up like a fucking ring pop.
He's the Zodiac.
You know, it's like Bane. People think Bane's just some big ass brute. No, Bane is hella intelligent. Great military mind,
tactician, probably the greatest tactician that Batman's ever gone up against.
Yeah, so that's my thing.
Like Riddler probably edges him on like sheer intelligence, maybe. Yeah. But he's like, as a tactician, as a general, untouchable.
Yeah, people need to be reminded of Batman's rogues gallery of who these guys actually, like the Penguin,
Dr. Freeze.
Oh, dude, yeah, Victor Freeze. Like he was a scientist, and some horrible shit happened. The system fucked him. His company fucked him. And the only way to save his wife and do what he needs to do was to turn to crime. And when Batman stopped him and almost killed his wife, that turned him into Mr. Freeze. Like, people need to understand these guys are criminals.
Dr. Freeze. You call him Mr. Freeze.
But like, people need to understand these guys are criminals. And then when Batman gets a hold of them after that, they become like just
super criminals, super villains.
Well, super criminals, but just like upscale bad guys to a point where like these are the guys you don't want to F with. And it gets to a point where that's how it's supposed to be. Batman is the reason why these people exist.
Yeah.
He's not there to stop them. He's the reason why they're there.
Yeah, it's kind of like they said that like with the Joker, kind of like in the Nolan trilogy, that like he was a reaction to Batman.
Yeah,
Batman showing
completely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing, like where it's like his Batman is kind of like this almost like the snake that eats his own tail, that like the more he fights crime, the more criminals he creates, and actually to a higher level, because they're like the escalation is that he brings is like what they talk about Batman Begins, that like the escalation of his very existence creates people that want to escalate to try and match him, because he becomes kind of almost like the apex predator, but you want to replace him as the apex predator, so you have to escalate to a new level altogether just to compete with him. And with Batman, even though he's stopping crime, he also escalates crime, and that's what I love about him, just the weird juxtaposition of him as a character, and like the fact that he doesn't kill his villains gives him an opportunity to constantly come back as well. Like, you know, it's just a fucking such an interesting character, and that's why he's got some of the best villains as well. But like, before we let you get the fuck out of here, Beige, we normally do on Dark Side, when we do all our MCU content, we do a section called What If, and then we do best and worst, and then we get the fuck out of here. But since this is DC, we're going to do something a little different. It's going to be similar to What If, well, the exact same, really, just a different name. It's going to be called Riddle Me This. So, Beige, riddle me this. If you were the director of the Batman, what would you change? The one thing, and I'll throw it to you then, Noel.
The one thing I would have changed in this movie is I would have introduced Harvey Dent as an assistant DA who didn't like those dudes going out to party. Like, he was the only person in that office that wouldn't go out to party. So at least
Harvey Dent was clean. Like, that's Harvey Dent's origin, is he's clean, as they call it.
You have that, you know, you could have showed, I mean, it would have been too much, but Batgirl, I mean, I like everything else. Just like for me, showing Harvey Dent for me would have been a little bit better, because there's a lot of screen time that didn't need to be on there for some people. Showing Harvey Dent would have been, you know, needed screen time for him, and even as long as like 2 minutes, but showing how good he was, because remember, the DA is gone now. A lot of people in his office are gone now. So Harvey Dent would have been the DA going forward. So that's the only thing I would have changed, is just, you know,
fill the background with better characters.
Yeah, just bringing in Harvey Dent. I mean, the way Riddler killed people was fucking awesome. With riddles. He killed people with riddles, which is great. But yeah, it would have been the Harvey Dent aspect. That would have been it.
How about you, Noel?
I loved the Saw style trap that was placed around the neck of the
El Rata Delada or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I would have loved that, because if somebody shows up and hits you in the back of the head with, I'm sorry, it's some sort of woodwork tool, not really a hammer or whatever.
It was a carpet hook. They call it. What did he actually call it?
The word escapes me, but that's
a tucker. It's a tucker.
A tucker.
Tucker, yeah.
And he kills him with that, and everything he does afterwards is completely superfluous, because you're dead.
Yeah,
like, you know, it sets up the scene and it makes it all very, very dramatic.
Well, no, he wasn't dead.
Oh, he was alive when he cut off.
He was alive, because remember, he cut off his thumb.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
He was alive.
No, I
just hit him unconscious.
The thumb drive. Yeah. I relent to that point.
Yeah.
But I love that the whole idea that you get the chance. And like the Saw franchise for me just went off a cliff, and I just think it's.
But the first one was amazing.
But the first one was amazing, and I love the fact that I loved a Riddler who was, let's just say, out to punish, but also you had to admit to your sins. You know, I love, even if it was an outside, even if none of them survived, none, because the guy was like, it doesn't matter if I die.
Okay.
If I say it, he's going to come for my family, and I like that. I remember watching that scene, go, that's awesome. And if somebody, and I could believe it, because somebody as intelligent as the Riddler could pull this shit off.
Yeah.
So maybe I would have liked a little bit more than that. I just would have. That just kind of like, let's just say, scratch the itch that I have for a little bit of violence or a little bit of horror kind of theme, because that's my genre. But yeah, that would have been the thing. I think if I was in the director's chair, I would have had more fun with the demise of the few victims that there actually was. I know there was a flood and stuff, but that's all off screen. There's no like numbers for that. The actual.
Are you going back to Stalin again, dude?
Well, and here's the thing about
the current climate.
Stalin wouldn't have put them.
History.
And I got my Karl Marx fucking salt and pepper beard coming in.
But my only answer for the riddle that I pose myself, I suppose, would be that a movie that's 3 hours long that left a lot of things in that really could have been slightly lifted out to increase the pacing or to better the pace in the film, in my opinion. They should have left in the Joker scene with Barry Keoghan.
No.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they should have, because it has that whole like Hannibal Lecter vibe to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like where he's kind of helping him with the case.
But
Like,
where would you put it?
I'd put it in the middle of the investigation. Like
Yeah,
like,
but then you bust your nut. Like people would be focused on the Joker at that point, not the rest of the movie.
It's not an invalid point. It's not an invalid point. Yeah.
No, it's a valid point to put him in the movie.
No. I'm backing you. It's
no,
not,
but I do think that like people would see that's and like Vinny said it. The Joker is such a iconic monumental character that when you put him in a movie, that's where your eyes fixate. Like you have Batman, but once he put him in that movie, I get it. It would have been awesome because it'd have been like he's helping him catch the Riddler.
Yeah.
But at the same point, your eyes and your focus would be like, hey, when's Joker coming back on screen?
Yeah.
Is he going back to see the Joker again? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what
Yeah, no, I think it was a cool scene though, because like he established Barry Keoghan as the Joker. You give him a bit more screen time. It's only 5 minutes. The movie's 3 hours long.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. Like he can put it in. I'm not sure what the files were he showed him, but I'm sure if I looked at that scene, like really detailed it and inspected it, I can see the exact part I could put it in the movie. You know, that kind of way from the evidence he's showing him. So you can really settle it in. And in that scene at the end where you see Joker with the Riddler, I know you get the big reveal when that scene's cut out. I totally understand that, but I think with a film that's slowed down in a lot of places that I didn't necessarily need to, I thought it would have been a cool scene, even if you shortened it down to 3 minutes instead of 5. You know, that you could have had him come in. Maybe you didn't see the Jokers clearly. You could maybe like fuck with the editing there, that you just allude to him where you don't really show his face in the same way you don't really show him at the end. You could do that, or you just hear his voice or some shit. But I just think that scene was cool because I love Silence of the Lambs, and the Joker, even though with all his mania and all his craze, he's still the clown prince of crime. Like, you know what I mean? He's still a very highly intelligent sociopath. And like, I love the whole aspect of a serial killer. You know, it takes a maniac to catch a maniac, to quote Demolition Man. But you know what I mean? That like, I love the whole aspect of like, even though he would be working with, maybe he's working against him at the same time, in the same way that Hannibal Lecter is working with Clarice in Silence of the Lambs, but at the same time he's communicating with Buffalo Bill long before they ever find out that he's played this game. And I thought that you could really introduce the Joker there, set him up for the final scene, because then when you see him in that cell, you're like, holy shit, is he beside the Joker? And then you hear the laughter and all this stuff. And you know, I can totally understand why they left him out, and your point is totally valid, that you didn't want to distract away from the main villain. This is the Riddler's movie, and having the Joker at the end is just like a little kind of full stop on the statement you've already made, and having him through it is a distraction, maybe so, but like, I thought it was a cool scene that warranted maybe some sort of screen time. But I can totally understand your point and the reason Matt Reeves left it out. But so no, and Baish, that's our riddles answered. So what's your best and worst of the Batman experience? Noel, I'll go to you first then, Baish.
Best of the Batman experience is, well, I'm torn between just how much I like Colin Farrell as a Penguin, but because he wasn't such a big player in this film, I'm just going to go with the fact that the fight scenes, I get that if Batman got onto this room and fought me, that he just kicked the shit out of me 6 ways from Sunday, and that'd be the end of that. But if I had the numbers of 20 to 25, that you would probably still get your ass kicked. But I just love that. I hate the absolutely, like, you know, like, even as much as I love Deadpool, do you remember that whole like, I've only one but such amount of bullets left, so you're going to have to share, and he jumps over a car and he shoots 3 guys in the head with like one shot, and you're like, yeah, like it's good and it's fun, but it's silly.
It comes
like
back.
The second Matrix, he fought like 100 agents after having such a hard time with the first, and it's good and it's over the top and I enjoyed it, but there was no sense of, I don't know, I felt like this guy was like a little bit in over his head at times, and I love that. You don't get that in superhero films.
Man, it comes back to a line I love from Rome. James Foy says it. James Purefoy, he plays Mark Antony. There's a part where after Caesar gets killed and he's running away, and they're like, he didn't stay and defend him, and he goes, a pack of wild dogs can kill a lion. Like, it's the numbers game, and that's what I loved about it. Even though he's so well trained, that he takes so much damage in this. Like, that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, absolutely love that about it. And I suppose if I just say something I didn't like, there's nitpicky things, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
I suppose again, like, even though I've softened up on it, I would still go back to my kind of Bruce Wayne thing. I know it's year two, but because he's supposed to be, again, like what everyone has going for them is hyper intelligence. Like the reason Batman's such a good fighter is that he's smart enough to know that he will need to be. And he's driven enough to know that's not something he can skip out on. He can't think his way around it when it comes to it. Everything was based on intelligence, and an intelligent man would know that if I'm going to do what I need to do to take on Gotham, like more than the entirety of the police force, then I'm going to need to play the game. And while he's a young man, he's in his 30s. You know, he's not a child by any stretch of the imagination. So at the same time, so I would have liked to just seen like him. I would love one little scene where, like, I actually thought when like the accountants or whoever are coming and Alfred was telling him, I would have loved like if he was forced into a scene and he just had that like moment where and he turned around and he was able to just completely fake it for like 20 seconds, like amazingly. Like, that's great to see.
He's been faking all his life.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's what he does. Alfred's going to and just like one golf-y type joke, and one like don't let that guy near my liquor cabinet joke. And
like what Christian Bale did.
Like what Christian Bale did. I would love a little bit of that, and then kind of going, that guy's going to keep the money streaming in because all he cares about is keeping Batman going. But Batman needs funds. Yeah, Batman needs an incredible amount. So personal, it's a small peep because I actually, again, Beige made some good points and I've softened up on it, but I'm going to stick by my guns on it at the same time. Beige.
Best part, besides the movie being fucking awesome, Pattinson, all their stuff, for me was the soundtrack. Batman, the aesthetics, Batman walking, you felt chills every time he walked. That's part of the sound. That's part of the soundtrack. Everybody had their own little decadent theme that would twinkle in. Even Penguin had his, you know what I mean? Like everybody had their own little theme because everybody was important because they all played a role. So for me, that was one of the best parts of that movie. And even when the car revved up, it was
I get the little jot, the little like I
something bad about this movie, man.
Nitpicky. Be as nitpicky as you like. Trust me, it doesn't need to be that they should have changed.
Andy Serkis.
3 hours of movie. There must have been one thing.
Yeah,
Andy Serkis. I did not like him as Alfred.
Oh, really?
I did not.
Oh, I didn't think he was going to come for the Cirque Man.
The Cirque Man, Mr. Mocap.
Yeah.
I think if you were going to make Andy Serkis an Alfred, then Alfred that was military, ex-circus and stuff, I think he should have delved more into that. And he should have been a little bit quicker. Like him having to walk with a cane, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's just like there was no like him saying that he had to protect your dad or Thomas Wayne. Then why wasn't he there? You know what I mean? Like when you say you're his protector, I would have thought your security, or if he's security, would have been there, but he wasn't. So now I'm confused on what you're actually doing, because if you're security, you're shit at it. So for me, Andy Serkis was the bad part for me. Not bad, but if I had to pick a bad part, that he was the bad part.
I wanted Andy Serkis to be full mocap in this. I wanted him to be like a 96-year-old full mocap Andy Serkis.
That would have been fun.
Completely unnecessary. Like just throw it in there. He's Mr. Mocap. You know what I mean? I want to see live action Andy Serkis. You know what I mean? He can be so many things. Come on. He was Gollum. He was Caesar. Just seeing him as a butler, it's just not the same. That's not the same impact.
You should at least have like a fake, I don't know, arm thingy like he did. It's a nitpicky thing. But anyway, Batman, for like the one person in the world who hasn't seen it, it's a thumbs up all around, yeah.
I have to give him my best mercy, motherfucker.
You're here.
This fucking guy.
So you peaked. It's just you peaked earlier, man. You're just going to start fading into fucking oblivion, to be honest with you.
I enjoyed the peak, man, and the downhill is always the easiest part.
That's a fair point.
So apart from the things I talked about, for the best, for me was the way it was shot. The whole movie looked fucking gorgeous. Like it just really did. Like, and I noticed that even more the second time I watched it, that like every single part of that city looked real. and like the way it was shot looked like completely like an old school noir movie, and the tones that even though it was dark was never too dark. It wasn't like the way Zack Snyder goes like, oh, it's dark so we can't see anything. That's not what he means by dark tones, Zach. Right, so this is what you mean by like where you had like kind of like ambers and oranges offset in the blacks or blues and kind of weird like kind of mixtures and shit, where things and colors popped off each other, and the color contrast and the palette was fucking awesome. Like apart from how good this movie looked in terms of the aesthetics of the suits, like Catwoman's balaclava was fucking atrocious, but like apart from that, like the suits and everything, and the way the Penguin looked, the way the Riddler's suit looked, all of that was awesome. But the movie itself was just fucking gorgeous looking. And the only issue I really had was the pacings. Like I mentioned, when you have so many things left in that they didn't put any of the Joker sequence in, it kind of surprised me. That I think it could have been 10 or 15 minutes slightly shorter. They could have sped up a few scenes. You felt the lulls, and that's like when you feel lulls in movies, that means there's a pacing issue. But apart from that, like every other thing sung about it for me, like that, it's a great fucking movie. But every now and again, it's slowed down too much. And then when it started to speed back up, it had to speed back up from first gear. So I had to do this kind of gradual speed back up so it didn't seem abrupt. And then I think there was just time wasted sometimes. That's it for me, really.
Fair enough.
So, all right, folks, you want to see anything else about this movie? Get the fuck out of here.
No. I just think it's a really, really, really good movie.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson is Robin a living. What? No, he's not. He's really good, Batman.
Boo. Boo.
Sorry. Was that as good as Vinny's joke? Can we all agree?
You went the whole time. That's it. Dumb. Final,
right. Yeah. Well, it's called consistency.
Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. All right, motherfuckers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, John Tui.
And this is Dark Side of the Moon. That's Baish Benford. That's the Batman. Remember, y'all.
Check out ROC, motherfuckers.
You need to hold that water till I finish wrapping up, you motherfucker.
This is why I'm only allowed to speak at certain intervals.
And he still messes it up.
And he still messes it up. Yeah. Well, that's because you're supposed to hold up the green flag when it's time to go and the red flag when it's time to stop.
Fuck it. We're taking a hole. Let's go here. Peace.
I'm a god, you're a madman. This is the word of Darkseid.